my name is Beverley Edwards. I don't know if you want to know what I did for a living, but I was a police officer for 30 years in the Met Police. Been retired now for nearly 20 years. And I'm a resident of Castleview Retirement Village. The reason we moved here, we didn't look anywhere else. I think it was the convenience of living in the area that we knew, the fact you could go up into London quite easily, and both of us were quite involved with organisations up in London and locally, so it ticked a lot of boxes for us. So I get involved with the various groups, but I've got a lot of outside interests as well, so I perhaps don't take part in all of the events because I'm out, but I'm just hoping that when I'm ready to use the restaurant every day, when I want to do all the tea parties, they'll still be running for me, but I'm really pleased that they're there for the residents who don't have the mobility that I have. Yeah, I belong to the little gardening group, and I'm one of the players, not the key player, but I think with any organisation you belong to, if you're part of a team, it's a sense of belonging as well. And it's also nice for people to come along and see our flowers outside. Oh, this looks nice. Oh yes, this is the gardening group that's done this. So that's just one element. I go to the events that are run here. We had a film night last night, and it was nice and cool up in the Sky Lounge. We had a great film, and it was quite warm. The lovely air-conditioned Sky Lounge was perfect. So you know, the film nights and the various events. We had an Elvis event here just recently, which was fabulous, not to be missed. And I will try to support it. It just depends on whether I'm around or not. But you know, I think there's quite a good variety, and I'm pleased to see an increased variety of events that are being run here by the management. There's some people that you have a bond, and I'm very close to one of my neighbours, and especially since I lost my husband, we do quite a lot together. You know, I found her when she'd had a major injury last year in her apartment. But that's part of being a neighbour. You know, where are you? And then she was lying on her floor. So things like that, I think you look out for each other, and you do help each other. And you know, hospital appointments, or drop me off at a restaurant or the theatre or the train station. We've got that going on as well. We had a nice house in Slough, but it was becoming ever more difficult. You come back after your trip to Cumbria and the grass has grown a foot, you know, an 80-foot garden. It became a chore, you know. I must admit, I do miss my garden, especially during lockdown, but we never relished the thought of the maintenance that we had to keep up. With any home there's maintenance, but with a house and a garden, it's there, and it reminds you as soon as you walk in the door. Yeah, I moved 3 miles, and we'd been living in a house 20 plus years, so it was a lovely house. But it was becoming ever more of an issue because we're both getting older. But downsizing is really therapeutic. It's very liberating. I wouldn't say it's easy. And we sold our house in the October, and we moved in the January. So we just hit a really sweet spot on the housing market, and you become really focused because you know I was moving from a 3-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom apartment. But once you get here, you know, the fact you haven't got all your junk. Is it junk? I don't know. I made a couple of mistakes. I think we would all do, but it was good for us to focus, and of course it's a chance to buy new as well, isn't it? Advice to people to downsize. I think people have got to obviously want to do it, and I think they should do it sooner rather than later. I was only in my mid-60s, and I think some people almost leave it too late to downsize, and you know, I've got friends living in homes and they're prisoners in their homes. They can't leave them. So I found myself on that younger age, but I was still within the catchment of being an over 55s community. I do recommend it, and you know, you talk to people, well, I'm too young, but I say, well, here I am in my 60s and I've done it. A lot of them think 70s, 80s, and that's the time. I would say go for it earlier. You can still enjoy a good social life, living in a safe, clean, happy environment, without the worries of a big family home to bear you down. After John's death, it was a real shock, as you can imagine, and that's part of the reason I wanted to take part in this exercise, because I felt I was different to many of the other residents here, that we'd come together and he's gone. You know, we held his reception here, and you know, we were able to invite all our friends and family back, and also the residents here were part of that grief as well, because they knew him, and so that sort of relationship continues. We don't talk about him every day, but his photo appears from time to time, which is a bit strange, but yeah, he very much enjoyed that, and to a certain extent, I feel I need to sort of take up some of those campaigns that he worked for, because he was very much into that. But so the people here, you know, they know my circumstance, and he will get mentioned, because this is part of his family as well. Yeah, in relation to the 24-hour staffing here, I called on them. When John collapsed in the apartment, I called on them, and the lass who was on evening duty came and helped me when he was lying on the floor. So it's nice to know that if you put that call out, somebody will come to you, and the alarm system worked. So when they test it these days, I say, I've used that. I know how that works, you know. But you know, when I come back at night, and I do go out quite, you know, I know that I drive my car down, and it's nice and safe there, and there's somebody on duty should the circumstance arrive. But I suppose for me, my main focus would be when I needed help, they came. Talking about retirement in Windsor, if I go anywhere, and I go out quite a lot, and they say, where do you live? Oh, I live in Windsor. Oh. That's nice. That must be really nice to live in Windsor, and it is, because I regularly walk into the town. I use the theatre. I use the transport. Meet friends for meals. It's the convenience of where we are and being able to walk into Windsor, or there's buses or taxis. I think Windsor has that kudos, doesn't it? You know that. I say Slough, and people look at me sort of sideways, but you say you live in Windsor, and you almost go up a notch, because you live in, you know, where the king lives. Yeah, so my apartment is on the 3rd floor. It's on the front, so I face the castle. I could do with some trees being chopped down so I could see more of the castle, but that's another issue. We liked the light when we walked in, because it's a balcony that sort of wraps around. We did like the light, and I think light's very important, very good for your mental health as well. 2 bedrooms, because there were 2 of us. Yeah, so I suppose it was that, and it was also a show apartment when we came in, so it was all set up beautifully, as you can imagine. But I would say that was what really attracted us. And happy in my environment. I live in a very nice apartment in Windsor, next to the King. I've got a new apartment. I can entertain. I can go out. I've got friends here. I can take part in activities. I feel safe. What more could a lady want?